divinely revealed. The miraculous book unraveling heaven's secrets in 3 powerful days in the heart of a quaint rural village, where whispers of faith soared higher than the rolling hills. A divine event was unfolding. The townsfolk buzzed with excitement as Father Thomas announced the arrival of a miraculous book, claiming it would unravel the secrets of heaven over the course of 3 powerful days. As the sun dipped low, casting golden rays over the chapel's weathered stones, excitement mingled with a sense of sacred urgency. Emily's heart quivered at the thought of what might be revealed. That as the days passed, an electric atmosphere filled the chapel. Villagers filled every pew, their eyes sparkling with hope, as the flickering candles cast dancing shadows. On that first evening, Emily sat in her usual spot beside her father, prayers spilling from her lips like a soft hymn. She longed for healing, not just for her ailing dad but for her own weary spirit, weighed down by doubt. Her brother's skepticism hung in the air, a constant reminder that faith is often at odds with reason. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd as a congregant, long confined to a wheelchair, rose to their feet. Gasps echoed through the cavernous space, and the scent of incense swirled like a divine mist. It felt as though heaven itself touched the earth, a fleeting moment of grace that stilled Emily's heart and confused David's scientific mind. "Can you see it, David?" she murmured, tears glistening as she witnessed faith manifesting before her eyes. But his cold stare bore into her, unyielding. "Where's the logic in this chaos? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The following nights saw an increase in fervor, prayer echoing like a symphony of desperation and belief. Most villagers surrendered to faith, while David stood resolute, a granite figure among them. Emily wrestled with her own heart. Did her brother's mind hold the key to truths she struggled to grasp? Divinity met doubt in a battle she was unaware of waging. Then, on the final night, as scripture resonated through the air, something shifted. Emily stood at the front, the miraculous book laid open before her. There was a pulse to the words, each sentence shimmering as if anticipating her touch. Her fingertips hovered above the pages, a magnetic force beckoning her closer. An overwhelming light erupted from the text, bright as the sun yet gentle on her soul. She felt her spirit elevate, enveloped in warmth, whispered secrets tickling her ears. Everything around her vibrated with possibility. With bated breath, she realized that the room was silent, holding its breath as she prepared to touch the pages. But just then, the church doors burst open. A figure cloaked in mystery stepped inside, stirring the atmosphere thick with anticipation. Emily gasped. Who was this stranger? And what did their arrival mean for her fragile faith? Her heart raced. Could this unknown visitor be the answer they had long prayed for? Or would it cast shadows deeper than doubt? The answers hung just beyond reach, suspended in divine mystery, urging her to explore the uncharted realms of her faith. The stranger stood motionless at the entrance, a silhouette framed by the soft glow of candlelight. Emily's heart thundered as she tried to make sense of the figure. The garment draped over them shimmered almost like the heavenly light that had just erupted from the miraculous book. A hush settled over the congregation, every soul in the chapel captivated. Then, as if sensing the collective breath of anticipation, the figure stepped forward into the light. Emily could scarcely believe her eyes. A woman, old yet ageless, with silver hair cascading down her back like a waterfall of moonlight, walked toward the front with a grace that seemed otherworldly. Her eyes, deep and knowing, scanned the room before landing on Emily. In that moment, time felt suspended between them. A connection, electric and sacred, pulsed through the air. "Do not be afraid, beloved." The woman spoke, her voice a soothing balm. "I have come to guide you through the mysteries that lie before you." Emily felt her breath catch. The words were not just spoken. They wrapped around her heart, emptying her doubts, much like the light that had filled the room moments earlier. David, ever the skeptic, glanced between the woman and his sister, uncertainty painting his features. The woman turned her gaze, a warm smile easing the tension hanging in the air. "Your brother's heart battles within a sea of reason," she said gently. "But remember, dear child, faith isn't the absence of doubt. It is the acknowledgement of something greater." With that, she walked over to the open book, her fingers lightly tracing the shimmering words, igniting sparks that danced in the dim light. "What does the Spirit say to us tonight?" she murmured, almost to herself. A gust of wind seemed to carry her voice and fill the chapel, an unseen frequency vibrating through each person. Emily felt a crescendo of energy swelling within her, a call to deeper understanding, startling yet comforting. The crowd, rapt, awaited her words like flowers thirsty for rain. Tonight, the book is not merely ink and paper, the woman revealed, her eyes now brightening with inexplicable fervor. It is a portal connecting you to the divine. It houses messages of hope, healing, and purpose. Personal stories began to drift from the pages, as if the very essence of those who had touched it before poured forth in whispers, weaving through the congregation's hearts. A ripple of murmured gasps filled the space as villagers began to experience their own awakenings. One by one, they recounted forgotten dreams or moments of lost hope ignited anew. Peaceful tears streaked faces, reflecting the truth that was penetrating their hearts. Faith was alive and tangible. Yet, as Emily listened and absorbed the miraculous unfolding before her, a question nagged at the corners of her thoughts. Could this truly be the gateway to their prayers? Would her father be healed, her brother's heart opened to the beauty of faith? As she stood there, a fire igniting in her soul, she couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was yet to happen. The woman's presence felt like both an answer and an enigma, hinting that while communion with the divine could begin here, it was also the start of a much greater journey. "Prepare yourselves," the woman said with certainty, "for we are but moments away from a revelation that will forever change the course of your lives." Emily's spirit soared and trembled at the same time. What awaited them just beyond the horizon of belief? What miraculous truth loomed on the cusp of being unveiled? The answer fluttered just out of reach, hidden within the sacred pages, wrapped in the mystery of faith. The air grew thick with anticipation, a collective heartbeat echoing within the chapel walls. Emily felt as if every eye was drawn toward the woman, each person caught in a thread of divine promise woven into the very fabric of this moment. Whispers of expectation rustled through the congregation as the woman lifted her arms, inviting the light to embrace them in an even warmer glow. "Close your eyes," she instructed softly, "and breathe deeply." Her voice wrapped around them like a gentle breeze, urging them to surrender their fears and open their hearts. Emily followed suit, closing her eyes and inhaling the delicate scent of the candles mingled with the earthy aroma of the chapel's stones. As she exhaled, a wave of warmth enveloped her, tingling through her fingertips and spreading like a candle-lit glow in her soul. In that sacred stillness, she began to hear first the faint sound of rustling leaves, then the soft, distant melody of a choir. A peace unfurled within her as if the very essence of her spirit danced in harmony with the divine. "Tonight, I will share with you a joy beyond understanding," the woman continued. "You will witness the interconnection of our lives through the essence of this miraculous book." With a flick of her wrist, the book began to shimmer with earthly and heavenly light. The pages fluttered, revealing a new story each time they turned. Emily felt the pull, as if the narratives were whispers, calling to her, beckoning her to step deeper into the light. From the first pages, names that were long forgotten emerged synonymous with prayer and heartache. They cast their stories like seeds sown in the soil. The whispers cascaded in Emily's mind, tales of steadfast love, of hope relinquished but reclaimed. Each story resonated, a testament shining against the backdrop of faith. "Listen." The woman's voice pierced the cocoon of silence. David, caught up in the moment, glanced at Emily. An expression of warmth began to soften the skepticism that had tightly gripped him. She could see him absorbing each word, the barriers of doubt slowly crumbling as the revelation unfolded. Every story is filled with a piece of goddess love, waiting to touch your hearts and lift your spirits. Through these pages you shall seek your own truth, the woman revealed, her gaze steady and reassuring. But know this, truth is not always what you expect. It can challenge you, shake your understanding, and transform your very being. Emily's heart fluttered with excitement, and her thoughts cascaded like rain. What truth awaited her? Was she prepared to uncover something that could reshape her very existence? The woman's attention shifted back to the pages, momentarily lost in a reflection that felt infinite. When she spoke again, her voice was a profound whisper. The Spirit speaks through us in ways we sometimes may not recognize. Through pain and joy, burdens and relief, we learn often, we must lose ourselves to truly be found. A collective gasp echoed in the chapel. Those words struck a chord with every soul present. They were mirrors of their own struggles, their own yearning for a deeper connection. Emily saw tears glistening in the eyes of her neighbors. A sense of unity blossomed, binding them together in their quest for understanding. Are you ready to embrace what is to come? The woman asked, her voice a blend of challenge and invitation. As Emily pondered these words, a flicker of doubt pricked at her heart. Could she truly break free from her fears and trust that the journey ahead was worth it? The woman held the book close, its glow intensifying. Remember, you are never alone, she reassured them, and the light that guides you burns brighter than any shadow. Emily felt a shift in the air, an unmistakable energy building around them, intensifying the sacred atmosphere. What were they ready to uncover? What awaited them as they approached the precipice of faith? The fire within her grew stronger, her spirit urging her to take that leap into the unknown. The silence was palpable, but the air vibrated with unspoken questions that lingered like incense in the chapel. What divine revelations lay beyond, waiting to set them free? Would they find the beauty hidden inside their struggles? The woman opened the book to a new page, her voice resonating with divine authority as she read aloud, and so it begins. As the woman's voice echoed in the chapel, an unseen force wrapped itself around Emily's heart. The moment felt charged, an electric hum pulsing in the air. She opened her eyes slightly, just in time to see the gleam of the book illuminate the woman's face, casting a sacred light that danced across the congregation. Let us journey together, the woman continued, her eyes sparkling with divine wisdom. Every page holds a truth tailored just for you, a gift waiting to be unwrapped. Emily shifted her gaze to the book as it shimmered like a constellation of stars. With each turn of the page, vibrant stories spilled forth, drawing her in like a gentle tide. She could hear the whispers of past lives mingling with the air, their joys, despairs, and divine encounters. The tales were no longer mere words. They were living entities, reaching out, touching hearts. Remember, the woman said, glancing up with piercing insight, the first step is the hardest. But do not fear. Each story is a guide through your own wilderness. Feel it resonate within you. Allow it to seep into the deepest layers of your spirit. David beside her shifted, visibly impacted. His skepticism fragmented like glass shattering under the weight of truth. She caught his eye and saw a flicker of hope stitching doubt's wounds, a silent acknowledgement of shared yearning. The woman continued, what if the burdens you carry are not just yours to bear? What if, through this sacred act of sharing, we discover that our burdens are threads that weave us closer together? A collective sigh fluttered through the chapel, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. Emily's heart swelled with an ache that was both painful and beautiful. It was the kind of sorrow that reminded her she was human, fragile, and at the same time filled with divine potential. As the night unfolded, one story resonated more than the others. A tale of a woman who lost everything: a family, a home, her very identity. But through her journey, she found the light that flickered even in the depths of despair. Each word dripped with divine truth, resonating within Emily like the gentlest of rumbles. Loss is a passageway, the woman said, her voice steady yet filled with compassion. Through loss, we often stand more vulnerably open to grace, ready to embrace what comes next. Are you willing to step through that doorway? Emily nodded slowly, her heart pounding, as tears pooled in her eyes. If this was the journey she had longed for, the discovery of herself intertwined with something far greater, then she was ready. The moment hung there, heavy with emotion. Emily sensed the congregation grasping onto this revelation, hearts intertwining in shared understanding. They were not mere strangers. Tonight, they were companions navigating the sacred landscape of faith. Suddenly, the lights flickered, dimming momentarily, as if the spirits of those who had gone before were hovering, adding weight to their presence. A rustle of excited whispers spread through the chapel. Everyone felt it. The energy crackled like lightning in the air. "Let us prepare for the next page," the woman urged, her voice rising above the hum of expectation. "For every ending holds a promise. We stand on the cusp of transformation." The book glowed brighter, illuminating the shadows in their hearts. Emily trembled with anticipation. What insights awaited them? What hidden beauty was poised to be revealed through these sacred words? As the woman began to read again, the air felt electric, sparking with possibility. And in the moment of trial, a path shall open up. What new horizons would unfold? What was God waiting to unveil as they all leaned into this divine mystery? As the next story began to turn, their hearts raced, brimming with hope and wonder. The woman's voice wove through the chapel, her words becoming a thread that stitched every heart and spirit together. As she recited the next segment of the story, the congregation leaned in, breathless with expectation. Each syllable resonated like a bell tolling in the silence, calling forth not only their ears but their souls. "Once there was a young man named Daniel," she began. "He was lost in a busy city, drowning in the noise of life, feeling like a mere shadow of himself. But in the quietest moments, when he allowed the world to fall away, he heard a whisper, a beckoning from within." Emily felt her heart quicken. How often had she felt lost, caught in the whirlwind of expectations and disappointments? It was as if this story was capturing her very essence, pulling her closer to a truth she had been reluctant to embrace. The woman's voice filled the room, rich and melodic. This whisper led Daniel to an old park where he encountered a weathered bench, engraved with words of wisdom: "In stillness, find your strength." As he sat, the chaos of his mind began to settle. He closed his eyes, and suddenly, a flood of memories rushed back, moments of love, laughter, even pain. It was there, amidst his reflections, he realized that every experience had shaped the man he was becoming. With each word, Emily could feel the warmth spreading through her, like sunlight filtering through the trees. She could see David, too, a man transformed by this young man's tale. His brow was relaxed, and for the first time, a soft smile crept onto his face, as if he were beginning to see shadows in his own life transform into light. "This, dear ones," the woman continued, her voice rising in passion, "is the divine reminder that our journeys, with all their struggles and victories, are threads woven into the greater tapestry of God's grand design. Each of us has a unique path charted by the hands of love." A swell of harmony coursed through the chapel, an acknowledgement of shared hearts igniting with hopeful light. Like candles flickering to life, they began to awaken to the notion that their trials were not barriers but bridges to deeper understanding. Emily felt compelled to close her eyes, envisioning the park Daniel had found. She could almost hear the wind whispering secrets and inviting her to be still. In that moment of stillness, the weight of her own burdens began to lift, as if a gentle hand was easing her heart. And with this revelation, the woman spoke softly yet decisively. Daniel took the first step on a new journey, one marked not by fear of the unknown, but by faith in the one who holds all things together. Friends, what if you dared to take that same step? A collective murmur of understanding rippled through the congregation, eyes twinkling with the promise of what lay ahead. Emily's tears fell freely now, cascading with a newfound clarity. Each tear felt like a release, a cleansing, washing away doubts and opening her up to an expansive horizon. As the woman prepared to turn the page once more, Emily clung to the hope that enveloped her. What truths await us? She wondered, her spirit soaring. The woman's eyes sparkled, filled with a knowing that transcended words. Get ready, Dear ones, for this next tale holds a lesson that will ignite your hearts. What divine revelation would they witness next? What miracles of faith were on the brink of bursting forth, eager to transform their lives even further? As the woman's voice settled softly into the stillness of the chapel, anticipation hung like dew in the air, each breath a testament to the hearts poised on the edge of revelation. She turned the page and, with a gentle smile, her eyes captured the light as she began anew. There once was a farmer named Isaac, she said, her tone shifting to a tender embrace, whose fields were barren after a long season of drought. Despair weighed heavily on him, like a dark cloud dimming the sun. He sowed seeds in hope, even as doubt nibbled at his resolve. Emily's heart raced again. How often had she felt like Isaac, with desires and dreams seemingly tossed aside by the winds of uncertainty? Was the journey of faith not also one of struggle, where hope seemed fragile, as if the sun might never shine again? In his isolation, Isaac heard whispers carried through the breeze. The woman continued, a soulful rhythm guiding her speech. Whispers that encouraged him, that assured him. Plant your seeds deep, nurture them with prayer, for the ground yearns to yield abundance. Inspired, he knelt on the parched earth, his hands digging deep, planting each seed with intention and love. Determined, Isaac labored tirelessly, praying over his fields each day, believing in a harvest that only God could orchestrate. As she spoke, Emily envisioned Isaac's careful hands tending to the soil, sunlight glinting on sweat-kissed skin. What faith it took to press on amidst apparent hopelessness. She felt this faith stirring within her, igniting a flicker of courage she had thought extinguished. The days turned into weeks, and Isaac's heart trembled with uncertainty. Yet each sunrise brought him closer to the miracle that awaited. And then the woman paused, allowing the congregation to breathe in the tension. Upon the horizon, clouds began to gather, dark and heavy with promise. Isaac lifted his eyes, and tears mingled with rain as gentle droplets fell upon the dry earth. Suddenly, life burst forth. The seeds began to sprout, green tendrils reaching for the heavens. The fields were alive. At this, a wave of emotion surged through the chapel. Hands clasped together, hearts awakened in mutual joy. Emily's eyes glistened with tears of hope and gratitude, a reflection of shared belief illuminating their faces. Could this tale mirror her own yearnings? Would life spring where it seemed barren? Isaac understood. Dear ones, the woman's voice rose, filled with power, that in faithfulness, even when circumstances appear dire, God remains ever faithful. Each seed, nurtured with love, not only sustains our dreams, but transforms them into abundant realities. A ripple of murmurs ran through the audience, affirmations of faith and whispers of agreement. Words of encouragement floated between familiar faces, bonds forming through shared struggles and testimonies. Emily felt an inexplicable peace wash over her. The burdens she had carried began to lift, replaced by an assurance that God's plan was always larger than her understanding. What if I dared to plant my own seeds of faith? She pondered, her heart racing with curiosity. The woman leaned slightly forward, her eyes kindling with fire, and in the act of planting those seeds, dear friends, what obstacles might we face? Perhaps trials are just tools God uses to cultivate faith. Each heartbeat echoed her thought. What struggles lay ahead as she stepped into a life marked by faith? There was a tingle of urgency in the air, and she sensed answers were near, waiting just around the corner. Get ready, beloved, the woman beckoned gently. For the next chapter of our journey together will unveil how Isaac's journey inspired those around him, how his faith ignited a community. With her heart racing and her spirit sensing the promise of transformation, Emily could hardly contain her anticipation. What revelations awaited them on this sacred path? Would it lead to a deeper understanding of how God's love can bind them all together? As the last echoes of the woman's voice faded, an electric sensation filled the chapel, lingering in the air like a promise waiting to unfold. Emily glanced around. Faces shone with hope, eyes glistened with the possibility of something greater, something divine taking root right here among them. The woman continued, her words wrapping around their hearts like a soft blanket. Isaac's story didn't end with his own blossoming fields. No, friends, it rippled outwards. His faith didn't just transform his barren land. It stirred the souls of those around him. Emily leaned closer, her heart eager for what was to come. Picture this. In the neighboring village, people had lost their faith, their dreams darkened by the drought. But news of Isaac's miracle spread like wildfire. The woman smiled, a knowing glint in her eye. People traveled from far and wide, drawn by whispers of green fields and abundant harvest. They felt a flicker of hope kindled in their own hearts, believing that if Isaac's fields could yield fruit, so could their own dreams take flight. They came to see the miracle for themselves. They sought the farmer who had dared to hope. Distant murmurs of agreement rippled through the congregation, each word stirring the embers of Emily's own aspirations. She thought of her friends, her family, those who had seemingly given up hope. Could her own journey inspire them? Was faith contagious? Imagine their surprise. The woman continued, her voice a melody flavored with inspiration. Upon arriving, they beheld not just green shoots, but a joyful community bustling with life and laughter. Isaac welcomed them, his heart overflowing with gratitude. Come, he invited. See the miracles God has wrought. The excitement grew. Emily could see it in the shifting bodies of those around her. She envisioned Isaac, arms wide open, ready to share his bounty. What courage it took to embrace others in the midst of his own uncertainties. They sat together in his fields, the woman described, painting each detail vividly. They shared stories, their burdens lifting in the company of one another. Their laughter rang out like music, weaving a tapestry of faith and community. Isaac's mere act of planting had ignited a movement, a revival in the hearts of the weary. Tears mingled with Emily's smile, her spirit aflame with an overwhelming sense of kinship. The walls of the chapel felt alive, filled with the presence of shared faith. She began to recognize her own role within this web of connection. The woman's voice rose ever higher. When we plant seeds of faith, dear ones, the yield is not solely for us. It ripples through our communities, sparking restoration and hope far beyond what we can see. We become vessels of His love, instruments of His grace. Emily's breath caught as she considered this profound truth. Who was she, but a humble part of this grand design? Just a dropped seed, perhaps, but with the potential to grow into a mighty tree, casting shade and shelter for others. Ask yourselves, beloved. The woman paused, allowing the weight of her question to settle in. What could our own faith ignite in those around us? What miracles might lie ahead waiting for us to step forward boldly in faith? The chapel resonated with the sound of quiet pondering. Emily's heart thudded in her chest. Hadn't she wanted this to step beyond her limitations, to be an agent of change? What had held her back? As the congregation inhaled the weight of these possibilities, a silence enveloped them, rich with expectation. The woman smiled knowingly and stepped back, allowing the stillness to speak. And just then, Emily felt a spark deep within. What if she didn't wait any longer? What if her journey of faith could begin today? With each anxious heartbeat, she sensed the stirring of something more, an invitation to transformation. What kind of storms might arise as we share our faith? The woman's question hung in the air, a gentle nudge toward the unknown, thick with divine intrigue. The night was still young, and revelations awaited just a breath away. What trials might challenge the community they were meant to build together? The air shifted as Emily settled deeper into her thoughts. The warmth that filled the chapel seemed to pulse with an unseen energy, drawing together the hearts of the congregation as they held onto their collective breath. She felt it stirring inside her, a budding determination, as if the seeds of faith within her were begging to be watered. Imagine, the woman's voice called out, breaking the reverie, what it means to be part of a movement. What it looks like when we step out in courage. Each one of you has a piece of Isaac's spirit within you. The same faith that brought his fields to life can breathe into your dreams. What will you do with that spark? Emily's heart raced. She envisioned the faces of her friends, those who had let their dreams dry up under the weight of disappointment. Perhaps she could reawaken their hopes, plant seeds where doubts had taken hold. Wasn't that what Isaac had done? She wanted to share peace and joy, to ignite passion in others. The woman continued, weaving images of transformation that resonated within the hearts of every soul present. But with faith comes challenges. Remember, dear ones, storms will rage as you step out to share his love. The wind may howl and the rain may pour, but it is in those very storms that the truth of our faith is tested and revealed. Emily bit her lip, realizing that the path she was contemplating would not be without obstacles. She'd have to confront her fears. What if she failed? What if her faith wasn't strong enough? Doubts began to creep in but were quickly met by the anointing she felt among the congregation. Faith could move mountains, and she felt a flicker of courage ignite. The woman continued to inspire, her words laced with purpose. Do not shy away from the storms. Beloved, stand firm like Isaac. He did not fear the drought, but believed in the promise of rain. God sent the miracle not in the calm, but in the turbulence. Your perseverance through the storms draws others in. It calls them to witness the glory of his light through your trials. The chapel seemed to thrum with shared excitement, the scent of faith rising like incense. Emily found her mind swirling with possibilities, her heart beating a rhythm of resolve. She imagined gathering her friends, lighting a fire of faith in the center of their lives. What if they went on this journey together, hand in hand? How could they inspire each other and reignite a faith that had grown cold? Now, dear ones, I ask you, the woman's voice softened, her gaze glimmering with intent. Are you ready to draw closer to him and invite others into this adventure? Are you willing to become part of a ripple effect, one that breaks barriers and creates waves of hope? Part of Emily wanted to jump up and shout, to encourage everyone else to take that leap with her. Excitement crackled around the room, igniting the imagination of those who dared to dream beyond their current reality. As the woman concluded, a profound silence swept over the crowd. In that moment, Emily realized the depth of what was being asked of them, a call not just to act, but to be transformed. The miracle did not lie solely in what they might create, but in who they would become through embracing vulnerability and faith. With every heartbeat, Emily came closer to a truth that throbbed in the room. She glanced around, taking in the faces of those gathered, now resonating with new vigor and shared purpose. She could feel something magnificent building. Consider this, friends, the woman murmured, her eyes sparkling with wisdom. When we come together, bound in love and faith, we may just uncover a path leading to miracles beyond our understanding. The possibility hung in the air, tantalizing and sweet. But as the flickering light danced around the chapel, Emily understood. It was more than a question of action. It was an invitation, a call to surrender. What kind of trails would they carve out in the stormy winds of faith? And what hidden treasures awaited them on the horizon? As the last echoes of the woman's voice faded, the chapel felt alive with expectation. Emily's heart swelled, each beat resonating with a sense of purpose. She knew that this was the moment she had been waiting for, a chance to bring her friends together, to spark a fire that would warm their hearts anew. She envisioned their faces, each one unique, yet burdened by doubt and weariness. Could she ignite that flicker of faith that once shined so brightly? She could hear their laughter, feel the joy they shared in simpler times. What if, through the storms they faced, they could once again find that laughter? A soft whisper of hope began to rise in her, a call to summon each friend, one by one, and gather them at the altar of their dreams. The warmth of the chapel surrounded her like a comforting embrace. A gentle breeze seemed to dance through the open doors, carrying the fragrance of blooming flowers. It felt as if the very essence of nature was affirming her thoughts, urging her on. She took a deep breath, steadying her resolve, and closed her eyes for a moment to seek clarity in prayer. Lord, give me strength, Emily whispered, to be the light for my friends. Please help me to show them your love. The air grew still, and in that stillness, she sensed him listening, a quiet assurance settling deep in her heart. She opened her eyes and glanced again at the faces in the congregation. Each person appeared transformed, as if the room itself shimmered with potential. "Will you help me?" Emily thought, imagining the hearts of her friends melding into one purpose. "Together we can weather any storm." She stepped forward, allowing the tide of emotions to wash over her. And suddenly, a voice from the back of the crowd called out, "What are we waiting for?" A wave of enthusiasm surged through her at the question. She turned to the woman who had ignited her passion, the one who had spoken of transformation. The woman met her gaze, her eyes reflecting a wise understanding. "You see, Emily, your journey begins with courage. Use your voice and let it echo." Taking a steadying breath, Emily found herself standing taller, a determination rising within. "Let us gather for a time of prayer and connection," she called out with newfound confidence. "Let us breathe life into our dreams. We can remind each other what faith feels like and fan those flames of hope into roaring fires." The chapel buzzed with excitement as murmurs of agreement echoed through the room. Together, they began to weave their plans, envisioning gatherings filled with laughter, sharing stories, igniting their hearts through faith. Each promise they made became a thread in the fabric of community they were weaving. Through whispered prayers and shared testimonies, Emily could feel the ground beneath them shifting. As their plans solidified, it was clear that the honor of faith was not for the faint-hearted. Each person contended not just with the echoes of hope, but also the whispered doubts that tugged at them. Yet, within the embrace of their growing unity, their challenges began to shrink. "Remember, friends," Emily said as the meeting wrapped up, "like Isaac, we need to believe in the promise of rain, even when the clouds seem empty. Our storms won't break us, they will mold us." The congregation erupted into soft cheers, voices mingling with the sacred energy that reverberated in their hearts as the evening waned, and the congregation began to disperse. A lingering sense of divine anticipation electrified the air. Emily's heart sang with joy, yet a question tugged at her mind. What storms lay ahead that would test their faith? Would they be ready to face them together? She felt his presence more keenly than ever before, as if an unseen hand was guiding their path. What hidden treasures are tucked within those storms? She wondered, gazing into the gathering dusk. Would they only uncover them if they walked hand in hand, step by step into the unknown? Hope spiraled within her, mingled with the sweet expectancy of what awaited them. The journey was just beginning. As dawn broke on the morning of the third day, the village reverberated with a palpable tension. The air buzzed with expectation, creating an atmosphere thick with promise. Emily stirred from her sleep, her heart racing, excitement and trepidation carrying her forward. Today was pivotal. It would be the day they would see the culmination of their prayers and open hearts that in the chapel. Candles flickered as if impatiently calling forth the light of hope and healing. People gathered once more, filled with anticipation. Emily caught sight of her father, his eyes gleaming, his spirit rekindled after witnessing the miraculous event that had unfolded in their lives over the last few days. The weight of doubt had lessened not just for her, but for many around her as Father Thomas approached the lectern. The old woman, their divine mentor, stood beside him, her presence radiant and firm. "Today," she declared, her voice flowing through the chapel with a gentle authority, "we will witness transformation like never before. Today is the day your faith will be tested, your resolve strengthened, and your hearts healed." Amy's heart soared at the woman's words. She felt a stirring within her soul, a call to touch the very essence of her faith. "This is our moment," she whispered to David, who stood beside her, still grappling with the miraculous events unfolding in front of him. "Open your hearts to the Spirit," the woman encouraged, her eyes glinting with joy. "Each of you carry seeds of faith within you, and today they will sprout into something beautiful." A roar of excitement erupted from the congregation, shouts of hope echoing against the chapel's walls. Emily felt her pulse quicken as she absorbed the turning over of a new leaf, a page of her life yet to be written. The atmosphere brimmed with an inexplicable warmth, and in that moment, Emily turned to her brother. "David, let faith guide you," she urged, grasping his hand tightly. "Just let go of your doubts. This is our chance." He glanced at her, the flicker of doubt still visible in his eyes against the backdrop of reverent joy surrounding them. But Emily could see it. A dawn of understanding was creeping in as the miraculous stories danced upon the air. And in that moment, something inside David began to tremble. The woman turned her attention to the book, its cover glowing with heavenly light as she opened it to a new passage. "Here lies the last chapter of your journey through faith and healing." Her voice resonated with the authority of the divine. "Miracles manifest not only in grand gestures but in the moments that teach us to trust," she whispered, the congregation hanging on her every word. With a graceful wave of her arm, she began to recite verses that leapt to life. "In trials we find strength. In doubts we find faith. In love we discover purpose. And through grace all is restored." A profound hush swept through the chapel as an overwhelming presence filled the room. Emily felt warmth surge through her, igniting her spirit like a flame. It enveloped her father as he sat, breathing in the sacred words that seemed to tug at the very fabric of his being. Then, the woman gestured again to the book, and a glowing light poured from its pages, casting dynamic shadows against the chapel walls. "Let your hearts be filled with faith. Let your burdens be lifted," she proclaimed. Suddenly, the air shimmered as light enveloped the congregation. Emily felt her father's hand tremble within hers. With every heartbeat, a collective yearning burst forth, a desire to be healed, to be renewed, to connect deeply with one another and the divine. As Emily opened her eyes, her gaze found David, who was witnessing what she had seen, something primal and raw transforming his skepticism into a moment of surrender. Tears shimmered in his eyes as he absorbed the healing power cascading through the room. The seeds of faith were sprouting. "Join your hearts in prayer," the woman urged, raising her arms as if inviting the heavens. "Let go of your past and embrace what lies ahead." The congregation fell into a deep, synchronized prayer, voices rising like a sweet melody to the heavens. Emily felt the chains of doubt wash away, her heart lifting in unison with those around her. Their spirit became one, a blooming garden forged in faith. With each moment, Emily allowed herself to feel everything: the joy, the fear, the healing. An inexplicable peace settled within her as the world outside faded away, leaving only them, a tapestry of divine unity woven into existence. As the prayers intensified, Emily could feel her father's pain ebbing, a gentle warmth gracefully filling the void left by suffering. The miracle was tangible. It didn't just lie in the healing, but in the journey they had embarked upon together. The woman's voice rose. "Miracles happen where faith blooms, where love conquers fear, and where hearts open wide." An awe-inspiring manifestation surged through the church, and in their midst, a radiant light pulsed with divine energy. It was a celebration of unison, faith ignited, dreams awakened. Suddenly, Emily felt her father rise from his seat, breaking free from what had kept him captive for so long. The villagers gasped as he stood upright, his face radiant with joy. He stepped forward, arms outstretched, embracing Emily, who rushed to him, tears cascading down her cheeks. "Dad, is it really you?" she exclaimed, her heart dancing in rhythm with the love surrounding them. "Yes, Emily, I feel alive again." His voice trembled with disbelief and joy. "The burdens are gone, and I see you with new eyes." The elder woman spoke, her voice trembling. "This healing is a manifestation of the faith you have nurtured together. You've united as a family and community, unraveling the glory of God within your hearts." David's eyes widened in realization, his skepticism melting away as he joined his sister and father in the embrace of miraculous love. "I see it now. Faith, it's not just belief. It's the connection of our hearts." As the chapel erupted in joyous celebration, Emily knew this moment would be etched into her soul for the rest of her life. They had crossed the threshold from doubt to faith, from separation to unity. They had learned the true essence of miracles lay not just in physical healings, but in the warmth of a shared journey toward understanding. This part of their story, a radiant testimony, would ripple through the village and beyond. And in the quiet corners of their minds, They knew they were only beginning to explore the beauty yet to come. As the evening sun bathed the chapel in a warm golden glow, the energy within the room soared. Emily lifted her gaze toward the heavens, whispering a heartfelt prayer of gratitude, embracing the unfolding of their miraculous journey. Together as one, now is the moment to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories that will touch your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this message of hope and healing. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about this. Ending your words can inspire others. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this divine manifestation. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.